right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Passive Cash Flow episode number 7. This is Meet Seth Martinez, the second half of People's Capital Group. Say hi, Seth.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Glad to be here.
All right, very good. So Seth runs the operations of People's Capital Group. He makes sure we're repositioning the buildings for max value and max cash flow. And he really complements my weaknesses, and I compliment his weaknesses. He's a great partner. If you want to learn more about us, you can go to peoplescapitalgroup.com, where there's our bio, our information on the properties we own and manage, and properties we flipped and wholesaled. And that's on peoplescapitalgroup.com, where you can learn all about our company and Seth Martinez and Aaron Fragnito. So today we're going to talk about how Seth got started. A lot of people are curious how we went from 0 to 100 doors in about 5 or 6 years together. So Seth, talk about kind of what sparked your passion to real estate. What's the story?
Sure. Well, I spent my 20s not in real estate. I spent my 20s in New York City in a healthcare business that I started with my brother. And after selling that in 2009, didn't know what I was going to do. And I also, so basically had to find a new profession. And I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that opened up a whole new concept of business, money, investing in assets. And I wish I had known that in my 20s, because I kind of realized that I did everything the wrong way in my healthcare business, from managing employees to delegating and just to thinking about time and assets and things like that. So I took a year off from the sale of the business, did a little consulting, and decided to go into real estate, again, after reading the book, and found a good realtor by the name of Aaron Fragnito. And he started selling me some properties, and we realized we kind of had the same goals. So started a business, and in 2013, we incorporated People's Capital Group, and here we are today.
Excellent. No, I mean, that's a great story. I think the Rich Dad, Poor Dad part, that it's so important. It's every podcast we do here, we hear about that almost, and it's really started a lot of people. Talk a little about how you actually had paid for some coaching at one point, right? And I know some people pay for coaching, other people don't. Some people works for, other people it doesn't. And I know you had invested a little bit of money there. Did you feel like you got a good investment there for the coaching package? Go on to that story.
Sure. Yeah. So right around that time, after selling my business and reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I saw an ad on Facebook for Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a seminar. So somehow they knew I read the book, which is interesting. But glad I saw the ad, because it led to a lot of things, some good, some bad, but overall good. And one of the things was an event. So I went to a free 1-hour event, and at the end of that event, they offered a $1,000 weekend, 2 or 3 day weekend. And but they said if you buy it today, it's $200. So I bought it today, and I went. And if you had told me going into that 3-day weekend that I would spend another $200 or anything even close to that, I would say no chance in heck. But at the end of that 3-day weekend, I ended up spending $26,000 for education, a CD, and some software. So that kind of was a big investment.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when I talk to people and they, say, well, I could invest in real estate, but I invested all my money in some books and CDs for this company, whether it be Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Flip This House, or whatever it is, so, and it's really a shame, because I think that's such a high price to pay to learn information that really a lot of it you can get for free, or you can get for, out on the internet. You can get also in places, Barnes and Noble, go buy a book, Amazon. That's how I learned. And everyone has their path. Sometimes investing in materials and getting a professional quality material in one place is important. Getting inspired by the salespeople there, or whatever, makes a big difference to kind of get you going and motivate you. So that's important. Maybe there's a premium you pay for that. But, if you can read a few books and learn enough and kind of inspire yourself, that's definitely the way to go. And if you have only $30,000 or $50,000 to work with, I personally don't advise anyone putting that into, some type of coaching program and then being left with no money to go buy real estate, because it does take money to start with real estate. I had saved up $20,000 myself. We had bought a 6-family property together, and that's how I was able to start building my passive portfolio along with you here.
Sure.
Years ago in Newark. And so if I had invested that money in coaching, I who knows, but I don't think I would be here. It took me a long time to kind of save up that $20,000, So if you go to these events, a lot of times the weekend for $300, right, is a great investment, right?
Yes, definitely. $300, maybe up to $1,000. But when it gets to 10, 20, 30, 40,000, sometimes more, a lot of times it's they're just selling you something. So you have to make sure you do your due diligence. And some people say wait at least 48 hours before making a big decision, a big financial decision. Mm-hmm. They don't really give you that time at the event. They kind of give you about an hour to think about it. And so that's the way life goes.
That's tough, but it's all right. Everyone gets inspired in different ways, and that's important to get inspired and have the material to go ahead and start analyzing properties and making offers and working with investors. Something we do here at People's Capital Group is we do the Learn and Earn program, where if you're hungry to learn more and kind of get the documents we make offers with, get the documents we use to work with investors and the spreadsheets we use to analyze these in-depth apartment buildings, then we give you that. So we give you a folder with all these documents in editable form. We don't sell it to you. We don't charge you for it. It's something we include if you're investing with People's Capital Group, because we're working together. And we want to educate you on not only your investment, but how this industry works and how we work with the different parties and the documents we use and the spreadsheets we use to make these decisions and facilitate our transactions. So, it's pretty cool with the Learn and Earn, because people can invest their money in a building and start making return on that money instead of investing it and getting just some coaching and some products. There is a value to both. Like I said, the $300 weekend that a lot of these, gurus offer actually is a great investment. And the reason it's only $300 is because they're trying to fill a room and sell to the room. And if you spend $300, then you'll likely spend more on whatever product they're selling, especially after they inspire you to do so. So the $300 weekends are great, but when you go there, realize the upsell and realize you're going to be sold, basically a bag of goods. And if you really want that product, go online, and you can usually find that on eBay or Amazon or a site like that for a discounted price. And you can get these packages of books and CDs that people buy at these events and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on. You could find them unopened on the internet, on eBay, because, people buy and they get inspired, and it's an impulse buy. Everyone has impulse buys. I was on vacation the other month, and I ended up impulse buying into some type of vacation package. It's not a timeshare, okay? It's a vacation package. But listen, I was on vacation. I was feeling good. They made me an offer. I said, no way. They doubled it. I was like, all right, fine. I'll buy some weeks. So, at the end,
if you waited longer, they might have tripled it, though. I don't know.
Absolutely right. They probably would have. But, everyone has those investments they make that are just kind of, you're excited about the product. The salesman deserves a sale. I'm such a sucker for a good salesman. So I've had those buys, and I'm going to use those vacation weeks, though. You'll see. I'll get my money's worth. It was a good investment, I swear. So anyway, so you bought the product, and then you said, okay, now I got a fire under my butt. I'm going to go, you sold a medical billing business. Talk a little about how you kind of got started with entrepreneurship, though, and as a small business owner with your first business, and then kind of converted into this second business of real estate.
Sure. Yeah, well, I always liked the idea of being a business owner, but I didn't really know how to go about doing it. So I graduated with a psychology degree, and after about a year, I realized that's not really going to take me anywhere unless I become a psychologist, which I didn't want to be. So went back, got an MBA, and right around that time, I had a business opportunity with my brother to start a medical billing company, and we had an old software package that we had the opportunity of buying, and so we bought it. It was on a server, and basically took the server, a couple computers that we got at a discount with the software, put it on a U-Haul truck, drove up to New York from Philadelphia, put it into our apartment, which we were renting out with some college friends, and started a medical billing business from our apartment. And over 5 years, it grew pretty well, especially the first 3 years. And years 4 and 5 kind of plateaued, and realized it might be best to sell. And so we sold it after about 6 years. And that's the time when I started looking at other options and got into real estate.
Well, nice. So you sold that, you came out with some capital, you were able to get started with real estate. I was a realtor. No one else would take Seth's offer. They were too low. So,
that's right.
I didn't mind presenting those offers to sellers. Nothing embarrassed me. And I thought it was really cool how this guy was stealing real estate. So, he's better, the management, the operations, analyzing buildings. I'm good on the branding and fundraising and public speaking end. And we really complement our strengths and weaknesses. But at the same time, we can also kind of cover each other's role as well, which is what's important about a good partnership. So you can enjoy those vacation weeks you prepaid for some reason. Right. In Cancun. So yeah, basically that's good, to hear that story, and remind me of your humble beginnings, to where we are now, looking at our real estate on the wall here at our PCG studio. As you got started buying real estate, what are some tips now that you own a $10 million portfolio? You obviously built pretty quickly. What are some good tips you have for the people out there looking to get started with this?
Well, that's a good question. I would say that understand the difference between passive investment and an active investment. One of the things they did not teach us too well in the $26,000 education program was the difference between a passive and an active real estate investment. Instead, they kind of taught us that, buy a piece of real estate, rent it out, and if you collect rent every month, that's basically passive income.
Sure, sounds about right. Yeah.
Right. But if you're actually the one collecting the rent or signing the leases or taking the contractor calls or the tenant calls, then that's an active investment. That's not passive. So understanding the difference of passive and active is very important. And if you want to be an active investor, go for it. It's got a lot of upside. But if you want to be a passive investor, try to find people you can work with that can make that happen for you. And that's one of the things we do at People's Capital Group. We make that available to people who don't want to be active investors.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. Well, we found really a need for that because out there, you go to these guru seminars and they say, yeah, buy real estate and collect rent and it's passive income. And we started doing that and we right away realized that was, complete BS. So, managing real estate is a full-time gig. Even with a management company, we own our own management company. We have amazing employees that make sure our real estate's managed to the T. But managing that management company is work in itself. It's every day. Seth, every day here is working with Lena. I'm overseeing everything as well. And basically, even working with a separate management company, when we hired third-party management companies, that was even more work, because we had less trust and there seemed to be less performance. And because the management companies we hired weren't performing properly, we had to create our own management company over the last 5 years or so. We had one management company that was stealing money from us. We had another one that just completely overpromised and underdelivered, and they were a huge national brand, and we couldn't believe it. We're like, how are you guys like the top tier of property management? You can't even keep 25% of less than 25% vacancy. It's crazy. So, we really had to fix that problem by creating a solution ourselves and with property management or to reposition apartment buildings more aggressively and properly. So yeah, it's not passive income. Yeah. We created a process where people can actually invest passively, actually just put their money to work in a building. We show you an opportunity that's been vetted against 400 other buildings that we'll say no to, bring you the one perfect building that we've looked at hundreds of others, spent thousands of dollars to get there, years of relationship with brokers and wholesalers to bring you one opportunity that is vetted and good. So yeah, it's really a service, and it took some money to kind of create the platform and the service for people, but I'm glad we did it now. And now that we are able to brand it properly and kind of get in front of the right people, there's definitely, some good feedback. People are really reacting well to it. You can see our fundraising is exponentially growing over just the last months, really. It's incredible. So, all right, so you got into real estate that way. We bought the 6 unit, we built our management company there. And you had some words of wisdom there. What do you think would be also your tips, just like wealth tips in general, because you were able to exit a business that you built up, so just for small business owners and entrepreneurs out there, do you have any general tips?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, if you sell a business or if you come into a certain amount of money, or if you've been saving it and you're looking to invest it and beat the stock market or beat some other investments out there, stocks, like I said, CDs, savings accounts, bonds, real estate can beat all of those if you do it right. And you can do it actively or passively. You can do it right either way, but know what you want. And if you have the time to invest actively, do it. If you want to save your time and spend that time on your own self or your family or more quality life where you're not working, like I said, try to find a company or a person that will do the work for you and you invest the money and they're the active investor and you're the passive investor. So I guess just know kind of what you want to do with your money, and if you want to be active or passive with it. And a lot of people don't kind of make that distinction, and they end up spending a lot of time just investing and not really having a clear plan. So I think having a clear plan at the beginning is very important.
Yeah, I do see a lot of people kind of misguided sometimes by, gurus that are selling, a weekend to learn about what they're doing. At the end of it, they're like, all right, so should I go buy an apartment building and personally guarantee a mortgage and raise capital and deal with a management company, or should I invest in what you're doing? And, the person who's selling you the class or whatever, they're always like, well, you could do either one. One's going to cost you $20,000 for my books and CDs. The other one's going to, you can invest $50,000 and then make this or that. So it's kind of confusing. Sometimes you meet people who can't decide which one to do, and they're so different, right? To do one and to do what we do is crazy work. It's crazy hard.
It's a full-time job.
It's every day.
Right.
You can't analyze buildings, do a syndication, and I don't know how you could, and work a 9 to 5 unless you're like Superman, but it's really a ton of work to build a brand and run the operations, reposition an apartment building, which is basically like a 5-year flip. It's a long-term flip. It's not like you're just putting in some fresh kitchen cabinets and hiring a broker to find a buyer. We're maintaining these buildings long-term. So it's really an investment of our time. And it always boggles my mind how people can offer those two products or services in one conversation. One guru event, he'll say, hey, you can buy apartment buildings, personally guarantee mortgages, manage management companies, reposition properties, be the operator, and here's my book and how to do it for $20,000, or you can invest with us. I think that's a confusing message,
Sure, I can see that.
Right?
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
The more we look into these syndicating companies that compete with us, the more we recognize a lot of them are selling two things that are very, very different. And because of that, I meet with people that go to these events and they come to sit down with me, and I say, okay, here's the building. It's a passive investment, and they say, well, can I manage the contractors? I say, well, are you experienced in managing contractors? No. Are you available during the day? No. I'm only available at night. Well, okay, so no, you can't manage the contract. Well, I want, but basically it's confusing as far, when you go to an event and people are said, yeah, you can do this, and and it's easy to do. Just buy this book or CD. It's confusing to people because it's not how it works.
Don't forget the coaching too. They also
the coaching, the long-term coaching, right? How much money are these guys really making on the buildings themselves if they got to sell all these books and CDs? Sure. Anyway, I'll digress. Listen, everyone's got their model. Okay, I'm not going to knock these gurus, and they probably do know what they're talking about, and they're probably darn good salesmen. So. Maybe I'm just a hungry entrepreneur just like them. So at the end of the day, Mr. Martinez, I'm glad we were able to team up here and partner our weaknesses as far as tips on, finding good partners, and just last tips for the listeners. Anything else?
Sure. Yeah, well, finding a good partnership is very hard. I think the numbers are somewhere around 1 out of 10 works out, or maybe even 95 out of 100 fail, or 99 out of 100 fail. So finding a good partnership is really, really difficult. And when you find one, you want to kind of cultivate it, keep it going. If you're having trouble finding one, then you can partner with us, because we become partners in a sense with our investors. And we've been partners now for going on 8 years. So that's an important part of a business, having a good partnership if you want to do that. And
heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've had my fill of bad partners as well. We'll save that for another podcast. So, guys, you want to learn more about how to be a passive investor and put your money to work and start getting mailbox money, tax write-offs, and not have to do anything, but start putting your money to work with a small minimum investment of $30,000 up to millions of dollars, whether you're just getting started with your IRA and want to put your IRA to work, or you're a multimillionaire with tons of capital in the stock market and want to diversify a little bit into real estate passively with Class B and Class C apartment buildings in North Jersey. Go to peoplescapitalgroup.com. Learn how you can become a passive investor in some nice apartment buildings in New Jersey, here right outside of Manhattan. Go to peoplescapitalgroup.com and subscribe for more podcasts every week. Have a good day.